Coming up on Stowe Nation.
Well, it's funny. Overlanding is really just car camping.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong.
I don't know. I've been day sailing and car camping for a really long time. I don't know. I just never even thought about it. But I think that, where it gets, kind of overlanding is, yes, you're right. I think that a lot of women are more comfortable wrenching their own vehicles. And what that has been like for me, has been, really, I would say it helped a lot to have the 4 builds that I've done with the Rebelle Rally, where I have been around other women who wrench, and being around women who wrench is contagious.
Welcome to another episode of Stowe Nation, a production of Park Media. Before I introduce today's guest, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, and leave a 5-star review. And if you find this podcast useful in any way and want to pay us the ultimate compliment, head on over to our Patreon page where you can subscribe to be a Classic, Stealth, or Beast Mode subscriber.
Welcome to Stowe Nation. I'm Graham Bertoft. Our normal host, Younghwa, is off learning to do some interesting things in her life now. But we're incredibly lucky to have Susan Pieper, who's the founder and CEO of the Dmos collective, has agreed to join us for the podcast this week. So, Susan, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate your time and having you here.
Thank you, Graham. And hey, everybody, it's Stowe Nation. It is awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I know I have your product. I know a number of other van owners who have your product mounted on their van. I will be very honest. I have it. It, much like some of the other tools I have on the van, I hope to never actually have to use it, to be very upfront. If I have to use it, I hope it's because of a good reason and not because I did something I wasn't supposed to.
We like to joke and say that we exist because we help people since 2015 recover from making bad terrain decisions.
That's a great way to put it. Bad terrain decisions. I like that a lot. That's kind of cool.
Safety third.
You're not wrong, right? Everybody with a van eventually asks the question, "Can I go there? I think I can," and then discovers that was a bad choice.
We should go there.
Exactly. No one will believe I managed to get a van in there.
Right.
Yeah. So it is interesting, right? There's I think a shovel is thought of as a tool, but in this world, it's almost a safety tool. It's not just something to just dig a hole with. It's actually vitally important to have with you.
Yeah. No. Look, the thing about having a shovel is that most of the time you don't need one, but I can guarantee you that when you need one, the worst problem you can have is not having one, because sure, anybody can dig with their hands. That'd be just awesome. I'm sure you could dig your van out with your hands. But the reason why we exist in large part is look, we always say to people, if you're a contractor and you need to dig, basically the foundation for a new garage structure on your property, go to Home Depot. We're good with that. All day long, you can go buy those $40 shovels. But until Dmos existed, no one really looked at the mobility space and said that the biggest problem is you can't have a shovel, full-size shovel, rolling around in your van or in your truck or your car. And if it is full-size, it's going to get left in the garage. And then when you're out there, you're suddenly going to be like, oh my goodness, I don't have a shovel, and now I got to dig with my hands or my floor mats or whatever. The thing about it is it's also more than just a recovery tool. People use our Dmos Stealth shovel for leveling, maybe you guys use sea gear mat, and you're going to create kind of a picnic area or a dining space. You put your chairs out. Sometimes you want to move pine cones or you want to smooth that out. So our shovel rake Stealth is perfect for terrain grooming and smoothing. And then there's people that, really do want to go to the snow and they're going to, want to build a kicker with it. It's a fantastically useful tool. And everybody's got to put out their fire with water and a shovel so that it is cold to the touch before you leave your campsite. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Now you mentioned building a kicker. As I recall, that's kind of how you got started, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a pretty interesting story because most things are that way. In fact, for all of the, stow owners out there who know that, you sort of go down one path only to realize that, that as you're going, it sort of goes into, it's the whole two roads diverging in yellow wood and, being the one, you take the one less traveled. Mm-hmm. We just went on the path of building kicker tools at the beginning of our company's existence in 2015. And we were really a big name in action sports and still are. We've been used by coaches of Olympians for a lot of the ski and snowboard disciplines, and, build a lot of kickers for pro filmmakers. Mm-hmm. But that somewhere along the way, I like to joke that the free skiers dads are why we exist. So thank you, dads. Free skier dads, I see you. They were like Eagle Scouts and lawyers, and they could have taken an Abby shovel and used an Abby shovel as their perfect car shovel. And what they ended up doing was saying, no, this kicker tool that my kid is using is a way better recovery tool for my car. So it was truly from that vein that we got these. Literally, the skier dads were the ones who first adopted it. And then as our company grew, we made products in the driveway space that were also mobility tools. So we made a bigger shovel called the Alpha Shovel series that was all for driveway. And then finally by 2019, yours truly got so tired of only having revenue in the winter with snow that I was losing my mind. And so I decided a full send it moment was that we had to launch the Delta series. So we took on the challenge of reinventing the e-tool in 2019 with the launch of our Delta shovel. And, it was the first innovation in shovels since World War I. And that product has been, like most of Dmos products, has a cult following, media acclaim, and is really lauded because we spent a lot of time, it's a shovel, I realize, but we spent a lot of time working on being three things, not two: full size, fully durable, and fully collapsible. So it's kind of easy to be like full size and fully collapsible, but not durable. Yeah. Or to be fully, let's see, fully collapsible and fully durable, but not full size. I don't know. It's just hard to do all three. And so we've really nailed that. And the Delta series now, I would say, is in some ways more popular even than our Stealth shovel, which it's hard to believe.
So is the Delta series where you started to see more like overlanders and whatnot really kind of starting to pick it up?
Exactly, because the Stealth shovel really was used originally in snow, and to this day is a loose terrain material tool. So it's best in snow and sand, mud. But there are a lot of people that are running like, and maybe not stow owners really running the Rubicon Trail. I think that would be a little bit challenging. But nonetheless, whether it's salt flats or it is, camping and really wanting to create, the perfect campsite and needing to dig a fire pit, people want the Delta shovel for that.
Okay.
And so I think in the storyteller world, though, I still feel that maybe our Stealth is more popular with you all.
Yeah, that's what we have. And I believe that's probably what most of the people that I know of have. But I know, there are people who get really adventurous with their stows and their vans. They get out there into places that I look at them and I'm just like, you know what? More power to you. That's not quite someplace I'm comfortable going yet. But if you've got the tools, right? That's what it's about, is having the tools.
Definitely.
Were you into overlanding before you got into the shovel world, if you will?
No, this is crazy, but I was into sailing.
Okay.
I have sailed 10,000 ocean miles.
Wow.
I've owned 2 50-foot boats. I raced a Transpac. I bought everything at West Marine at least 3 times. So now, if you say, oh, I get why you do what you do, what I just said, you're going to be like, oh, I get it. Because it was like, what happens with sailors is, so it was like a 20-year chapter of my life, is that there comes a point where I've gone to wind and gone to weather so much that I was like, I just can't take it anymore. I just need to get to the mountains. So I moved to the mountains and started Dmos. So, so the overlanding thing is now this next chapter of my life where I have really wanted to be land-based. You know, I sort of felt like all those years of, you know, making landfall from a boat, and our main, you know, in the boating world, the side-by-side is a dinghy. And so, you know, and for van life people, it's a dirt bike, or it's an e-bike, or it's a one wheel. Yeah. So it's the same, but just different.
Yeah, exactly.
so I've done that a lot. And in our boating life, that's really one of the reasons why I think I got so comfortable with design and with gear. Yeah. So when we raced Transpac, we had to, you have to basically check your boat out, you know, to be able to sort of have, you know, participate in an event. So we had to build an emergency rudder, and we had to have an emergency rudder and emergency tiller. The emergency rudder, though, involves using the carbon fiber spinnaker pole and some lines and some pulleys. And so it's kind of like a recovery tool. Okay. So I had to sort of rig that and design that for our boat and add a couple of blocks for that. And then I would, you know, I ran emergency running lights. I retrofitted the boat so that it could fly a spinnaker. It was just a sloop with a main and a jib. And so a lot of that is very similar to what it's like to retrofit a van.
Yeah, it just never stops, does it?
It never stops. No.
Just real quick, just for clarity, you mentioned Transpac a couple of times. What is Transpac?
Okay, so Transpac is the Trans-Pacific Ocean Yacht Race. Okay. It's a 2,100-mile ocean race from Long Beach, California to Alawai Yacht Harbor on Oahu.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's run every 2 years, and it will be run again in 2023 for the 52nd time.
Wow. And you said you've done that how many times?
I've only done it once. Okay. I delivered the boat back, and so I was a skipper from Oahu back to San Francisco Bay.
Okay, that sounds like something. Just it's I've never had the chance to go sailing, but that sounds like just the ultimate opportunity. You have a clear destination, and to be honest, I mean, it's easy to miss, but it'd be hard to miss the States going that direction.
Yeah. I mean, you know, so long as you're, you know, there is a whole thing with, you know, you get closer and you've got, you know, satellite GPS and things like that. You're going to find the island.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, what would be really cool is, we should talk to you guys. I should help you guys, get a fleet of stow yachts so that people could drive their van to California and like park in some marina at Harbor Island in San Diego. And, you know, like I would help you get, you know, all of your gear all set, and people could just like offload from their stow van into the yacht and go sail. It'd be so cool.
I reckon,
I'll work on
now that the idea has been presented. So the Stow Nation is actually really cool in that there are so many different interests, right? So like last year, and we've got the second annual fly fishing meetup get together, because Youngwa was like, hey, I want to go fly fishing. And the rest of us were like, cool, we're in. You know, we've got mountain bikers. We have people who do really extensive trails. We've got pilots. And so it's really kind of cool. And yeah, I think if you did something like that, you would absolutely have people who are interested in doing it, if only for the experience.
Well, I'm into it.
Hey, I'm into it too. If you want to do that, we are there for sure.
I will take you sailing. I will run the Dmos sailing school. And by the way, you know, you didn't ask yet, but we'll go ahead and go there because I'm a little bit of a random person.
That's fine.
Dmos stands for do my own shit stuff. Okay. Whatever the S can be. We didn't define the S because we're not those kind of people. We just don't make rules.
So was that a conscious decision when you first created the company, or did you go through a couple different names before it was finally like, you know what, this is what we are?
Oh, it was easy. We nailed it. It was a one and done.
Yeah. I mean, those are the best ones, right? Where you just come up with it and just like, this is it.
We just sent it,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, speaking of sending it and, you know, doing the long distance yachting, I think I saw on your blog, did you do the Rebelle Rally? Is that correct?
I did. I've done it 4 times.
Oh, wow. What's your experience been like?
Well, I went from being, you know, like so incredibly, like, you know, there's these times in life where you just don't even know what you don't know. And then you're so bad because you don't even know what you don't know.
Yep.
So in 2018, I was like, well, I can sail and I know how to navigate. I'm never going to mess up latitude or longitude. Like I've got that. Mm-hmm. But the Rebelle Rally is a precision off-road endurance navigation rally raid. So the precision part, let's just underscore that twice and then put a highlighter on top of it, was something that yours truly did not get until I really did it. So the first year was just like, oh, this is what this is. But I've done it 4 times and I'm really proud to say that I feel like I've come from just like completely a beginner, like had no off-road driving experience or seat time. You know, definitely had the adventure thing down. You know, I've done endurance events, but definitely did not have seat time, to going from really so far behind to in 2021, my partner and I were top 10.
Oh, wow.
So it was phenomenal. Yeah. So really have invested a lot in that event, and Dmos has been a sponsor, and we're coming back as a sponsor in 2022. We're super excited about it. It is a true endurance event. It is a badass event for people that are badass. I highly encourage any stow owners who want to, you have to be woman, but who want to do it, because it is a incredible group of human beings.
Yeah.
Not unlike yourself.
Well, and I know there are actually several stow owners who've talked about it, potentially even started some of the work on it. What's been kind of, you mentioned the precision part, but what was the workup like to be ready to do something like that for you?
So it definitely takes a lot of time, and you know, the vehicle is the third teammate. So there's a lot of issues around basically making sure your vehicle is built. And you know, look, I don't mean to say that every vehicle has to be built. Emily Miller, who's the founder of the Rebelle Rally, believes that any all-wheel drive vehicle could compete in the crossover class, and any bone stock in your driveway 4x4 can go out tomorrow and compete in the 4x4 class. And I think that is true. On the other hand, you don't want to be out there and have your stuff rolling around. Yeah. And on top of it, just like with Dmos, I mean, it's sort of this whole always at hand, never in the way. You have to have precision gear list that is absolutely dialed to where it will be stored in your vehicle with everything ratcheted down. And so just to kind of organize all of your recovery gear and your navigation gear and hydration, because it's an endurance event, you need to have electrolytes and you need to have snacks throughout the day. And they give you some snacks, but you might have special dietary needs, or really feel that what keeps you at your best is,
I think, Susan,
you know,
did I
some
lose
type
you?
of goo or whatever.
There we go. And you're
I'm
back.
sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. I think you were just talking about like the precision it requires, not only, it sounds like, on navigation, but also on preparation. So it's, you know, I think that's something that I know some van owners who are really, really good about being precise. Everything has its specific place and everything must be in its place. We're not. Yes. So we do tend from time to time to have stuff rolling around, and we both look at each other and go, wonder what that was.
Wonder what that was.
Well, that's, that's something, and that kind of leads into one of my other questions I kind of wanted to talk to you about. You know, overlanding is historically a relatively kind of male-dominated type of hobby. And so for you as a woman-owned business, in this type of hobby, this type of world, what's it been like for you?
Well, you know, it's funny. Overlanding is really just car camping.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong.
I mean, I don't know. I've been day sailing and car camping for a really long time. I don't know. I just never even thought about it. But I think that, I think where it gets, kind of overlanding is, yes, you're right. I mean, I think that a lot of women are more comfortable wrenching their own vehicles. And what that has been like for me, has been, really, I would say it helped a lot to have the 4 builds that I've done with the Rebelle Rally, where I have been around other women who wrench, and being around women who wrench is contagious. So if I'm around women who are wrenching and they are themselves, getting into the dashboard and wiring a rally computer to the OBD2 port, I am also not afraid to do that. And so it's just been awesome to be hands-on with vehicles and to watch YouTube videos and learn how to do things and become more handy. And I love to, my personal passion is to probably get more time outside of running Dmos to do more of my own, vehicle work and create YouTube videos around it, just so that I can show other people that it's easy and then I do it and then it's not scary. I just think that that's all changing. I mean, I think that there are a lot of women who are overlanding alone. I think there are a lot of women who work on their own vehicles now. And it's great to see it expand so that it's more inclusive for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of why we wanted to talk to you, is because we've had discussions with a lot of vendors. Some of them are couples who own them, but a lot of them do tend to be either male owned or male run. And so we wanted to actually get that message out to the community of, there are a lot more women who wrench, which I think is I don't know if that's trademarked or copyrighted somewhere, but it should be. And there's a lot more of that. And even in my own experience, that's what's been interesting about the Stonation van world, has been how many women are doing it on their own and proud of it and really having fun with it. And I think that's something we need to kind of keep encouraging. Cool. So kind of sticking with Dmos a little bit. You mentioned, that you kind of came up with a name, just, it was what it was. I know you kind of have a passion for branding as well. Is that something that you've stuck with in the design of the way the shovels collapse, the way they're just overall designed in the look of them? Or has that just been more of a functionality piece?
I'm not sure if I can answer that question correctly.
That's fair.
I think on the branding, I would say that we did start, as we said at the beginning of the conversation, as an action sports shovel company. And so do my own stuff or shit or shoveling or whatever, that worked great. But what happened as we have really moved into being truly making we're the gold standard of, I'm just going to say it, van, off-road, and car shovels. We are the gold standard. And we're very proud of it. We work every day to earn your trust, to be your car shovel, to be your recovery tool. And I think that the name still really works for that, meaning the Dmos name, the Dmos brand is all about being your own hero. It's a fiercely independent brand about independence, freedom, self-reliance, being mission ready, heritage quality gear that's always at hand and never in the way. This is really what our brand is about. Now, interestingly, because we started in action sports, and I told you we made some driveway shovels, one of the most interesting business issues that we've had to face we've been in business for 7 years, has been around kind of how we are seen in the market. So last year, after much discussion internally with my team, and I knew it was the right answer, we finally have really recognized that the company, Dmos Collective Inc., which is just a company, is really like a holding company. Even though we're a small company, we're, basically that's the holding company that holds Dmos Van Life. It holds Dmos Winter Sports, Dmos Home and Beach, Dmos Black Label, and Dmos Overlanding. So we now have 5 brands underneath it, and each of those brands are verticals with a whole customer segment and with product solutions that are being built for those markets. And that is where it's getting really fun. It's because like now in the van space, we have, very distinct van product ideas that are coming out. And similarly just in a week, actually, we're very, very close. Our next Kickstarter campaign is done for a beach shovel, and the beach shovel owners may not even think of overlanding, but there's a lot of people that buy really cheap plastic shovels, and Dmos makes shovels. So it's like, why not do that? So we have that kind of beach and home business. And so that's in a different vertical. But that's actually a cool product, just to let your listeners know. And it's only because I think it's cool because it comes with a bucket. So it's a 2-part, fully collapsible, 33-inch long shovel that comes with a little bucket. So it's perfect for beach. And a lot of times having a bucket in your van, of course, is also useful because you can, use it for washing dishes. You can haul water, or you can, wash your feet, whatever. So anyway, just real quick on that, because I'm not sure exactly when this particular podcast is going to go up. What's the launch date for that Kickstarter? So we don't have a specific date, but this is being recorded at the end of July, and it will be coming live within a week. The campaign's early ready to go. One of the things that we do is we just time it with respect to getting everything live on the email list and all the assets, and we're
awesome.
early August.
Yeah, that's there's a number of us that I think are heading down to Baja, Mexico in November that might be kind of interesting for. So absolutely. Cool. So you mentioned all the changes and the new branding that you're doing. Is that I also saw that you guys were kind of a finalist for I'm not entirely sure what it is, to be very blunt, but you're a finalist for something at SEMA.
Yes, that's correct. So SEMA, for those of you that don't know, is the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association. It's the trade association for all automotive aftermarket. So it's a $51 billion industry, and that's everything from aftermarket wheels and tires and lighting and bumpers and shovels and mounts and all that stuff. So that is SEMA. And SEMA every year, this is their 10th year of doing a launch pad, kind of like their own, Shark Tank kind of event. And they basically are challenging those of us who put our hats in the ring to compete for prize money. So Dmos has been named a semi-finalist in the 10th annual SEMA Launch Pad. And the show will sort of go on and go down in Vegas in early November.
So what happens if you're named as the winner? What's the benefit from there?
Graham, I become immortal.
Well, I mean, you're on the Stone Nation podcast, so you already are.
I mean, but okay, I know, but I'm just saying it is just, it's going to be really cool because it's basically, it's hard as a small company to build a lot of brand awareness. So SEMA really helps those of us that are competing to basically get our stories out. We are also all being recorded, and season 10 will be on the History Channel. So it's a reality TV program, and we're on stage at SEMA, and we make new friends, and, we shake hands and kiss babies, and it's going to be amazing. So much fun. Plus there's prize money. And, who doesn't love a good cornhole toss, or dart game, or, entrepreneurship competition?
Absolutely. At the coolest car show in the world that not everybody gets to go to. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
that's insane. It'll be so good.
That's what I'm a little jealous of. Is you get to go to SEMA. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, Google it.
And our booth is paid.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's even
right on.
That's really cool.
Cool.
Well, we'll definitely keep our fingers crossed for you that you get to the end. Thank you. That you're, you guys are named as a winner. It'd be cool to see someone from van life. Even it would just be kind of cool to see someone from that side of the car world. SEMA, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, please Google it. It's got a long history. There's lots of fantastic stuff that always happens there. But for a long time, it's really, I think, been associated primarily with hot rods. And so to see
That's
something
right.
other than just hot rods becoming a focus at something like that is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of hot rods, but still, it's something that's really cool. So before I forget, I do want to make sure to ask, there's a van behind you. Is that your personal
Yes.
build? And do you mind telling us a little bit about it?
Yes, it is my personal build. Okay, so Dmos is really into design, obviously, and we have pretty strong palette of brand Pantones, a lot like Stowe. And so when we started to do a van, we were sort of like, whoa, well, we've got to do it like, it's got to be like unique to us. Because like, I mean, we're not a van company, but we're like, well, we should do our van that looks like us. So it was a really fun, creative project because the van behind me is a 2021 Mercedes Sprinter, 3/4 ton, 4x4 high roof. And it was Amazon blue.
As so many of them are anymore.
And that was, and that could not be because that was not us. And so the question was how to make it us. And so it's actually a full custom. So it's our whole team, basically we did the whole build. So it's basically a custom wrap, all over wrap with basically the Dmos. So it's in a color called zinc with the Dmos graphics and Dmos overland in the Dmos flat dark earth color, which is kind of one of our Pantones. So it's really popular for making shovels. So our colorways for shovels are almost like the Grand Canyon colors. So we love everything from racing red to pumpkin orange to flat dark earth to defender green to like I don't know if you guys know the sky blue color and then agate gray. But if you can picture those colors, it's really very Grand Canyon like, and it's really of earth and of the elements. So our colors really relate to our brand because our brand is so much of the elements. So anyway. We've partnered with some folks, in the industry that you guys also partner with. So Agile Off-Road helped us out with their rip kit. We've got Black Rhino wheels. We have Envision Personalized Automotive did the entire wrap. We worked with, we're in Salt Lake. And so we worked with Expedition One that did the front and the rear bumpers. Diode Dynamics is a Salt Lake-based company that did the bumper lights. We're still working with KC to sort out, just like I think you guys have KC on the Stowe vans. So we want to get KC on that roof rack, and I have to build a custom bracket to make that work. And Adrenaline Van, lovely Tim from Montrose, helped me fine tune some things with suspension and actually installed the rip kit and the flare. I guess you have to change the size of the wheel well because I've got 17s. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a great collaboration. I'd love to have something from Stowe on.
Well, we could probably, at the very least,
I'm gonna have to figure that out.
We'll figure something out. So with that,
that'd be great.
Are you taking that? I'm sure you're taking it to shows for one, but are you taking it on on any kind of cool adventures or overlanding trips of your own with it?
So I almost haven't had time because we are so busy with shows and we're a small team that, I'm personally on the road. I've only had the vehicle like 7 months and it's already got 17,000 miles on it. So, it's getting driven a lot. I have a trip at the end of August coming up, but I wasn't planning on bringing the van. And that trip is with some other brand owners on the way to Overland Expo Mountain West over all the major Colorado passes. And my other vehicle is a very tiny, adorable little 2017 Jeep JK Wrangler that I actually can tow behind this van. I'm going to get a 14-foot double axle PJ trailer so that I can tow it. But that vehicle is the one I'm going to drive just over all the mountain passes. Although this would be able, I'm sure this is super capable.
Cool. So yeah, I know that was one of the things that we kind of went back and forth on while we were trying to get this set up was, when's the best time? What shows are you going to be at? What shows could we make? It's been a lot of us were at a lot of the shows last year, and unfortunately, some of us actually had to go back to the office. And so it's made it a little bit harder this year. But you've mentioned a couple times you have a relatively small team. How big is Dmos? How many team members do you have?
Yeah, so we've got
Oh,
just
wow.
four people that are full time, and then we work with outside. I've got 2 people on engineering who are contractors, and a couple of contractors on the marketing side, and an outside
Okay.
designer, soft goods
And then,
designer.
so the products themselves, as I recall, they're all made in the U.S. Is that correct?
They are currently all made in the U.S. We are increasingly, though, open, I would say, depending on the product line and depending on the market and what we're making,
Yeah.
to global sourcing. So we've sort of, especially we're moving into the
Okay.
bag space, and we may
Yeah.
tap Asia
Okay.
for that.
So
source.
you've mentioned, the bag space and the beach shovel. What else is coming up for Dmos? Where else are you looking to expand into? If you're willing to share that level of corporate
So,
strategy.
I mentioned, yes, I am. So I will tell you that I think that to be I think that because we're so design and color driven, I think that we can really differentiate, make differentiated products that are. I'm really interested in storage, and I like to call it kind of luxurious storage, because I just really feel that color matters. And there's just too many things that you can buy kind of on Amazon that are black, 600 denier nylon PU coated, and that you put inside your van, and it just doesn't inspire me. So we're really excited about some storage
Okay.
products that we have coming out. We also and that's in the soft goods space, and then on the hard goods space, we have our own take on storage panels. And storage panels are used so widely everywhere. They're used in truck bed racks, and they're used in camper vans, and in yeah, I guess I'm sort of without words, but we have a pretty cool storage system that is patent pending, and that will be revealed as soon as SEMA. And so storage is really, and the storage thing is because if you go from shovels to keeping shovels always in hand and never in the way, and you recognize that that's what enables you to feel like you can be independent and have a lot of freedom and get yourself out of trouble, also having your gear really organized is really about empowering you on your mission. So we're just
I would completely
in
agree. It's one of the things that Michelle and I struggled with. So we spent about 8 months in the van last year, just traveling all around the country. And one of the things that we struggled with just to begin with was, as you're traveling, there's a lot of stuff that you end up carrying when you're on a trip quite that long that you only need at certain points during the trip. So where do you keep it? And then you have other stuff that's awkward, but you have to have it always available because you never know when you're going to need it. And so, having that, that took a lot of work. And I would honestly admit that we were still not quite perfect. We're definitely not precision, as you mentioned before, on where all that stuff goes. And I do think there's, I know I'm not the only one who opens up the back of the van to get something and goes, oh, well, there goes that, as something falls out that I didn't expect to be there. So
exactly,
that sounds really, and especially with your background in the Rebelle Rally, I'm really interested to see what you guys are coming up with. It'll probably solve problems, right? And everybody's got their own unique problems to solve. So.
Absolutely. And, sailing, the thing I think I most enjoyed about the boat is that, boats been around for a long time that, go offshore, and people are really accustomed to having cabinets that lock and, floorboards that lock, and you use every bit of space everywhere. And our boat was just so dialed for offshore sailing, with everything from, a grab bag that was just down the companionway stairs, and you opened up a lazarette, and if you had to abandon ship, you'd grab that one orange bag with reflective tape on it. And then in the rear lazarette was a 6-man life raft. And right next to that lazarette with duct tape was a knife and a lanyard that was tied to that lazarette, because if you're going to abandon ship, you wait until your lifelines are below the water before you get in that raft. And then at the very last minute, you cut it away from the boat. So everything was thought through in terms of safety and storage and, basically self-reliance. And so I've just really enjoyed that. And, and we had a beautiful interior too. I mean, it was really like beautiful. And so I I feel like things don't have to be boring to be functional. They should be beautiful. And, you know, the other thing that I'm really driven by these days, and I don't have enough pictures of it, is that I don't know if you guys remember back in the day. I mean, you know, maybe this is going to age me, but, you know, in automotive trends in like the 60s and the 70s, cars were made in the interior to look like a living room. So if you think of like an old Cadillac, like with like white leather upholstery, and maybe it had, you know, walnut wood that was highly polished. And then, you know, if it was, I mean, it might have even been a white Cadillac with red carpet. I mean, but like the point is it was like a little bit mod, a little bit go-go, but also very beautiful and colorful. I believe that color in particular is on trend to come back into accessories, because I've been looking at a lot of race seats, and there is a new trend to come back to, you know, everything old is new again. And so sort of the old race seats are coming back in style. And if you look at some of the Lamborghinis and high-end, you know, performance vehicles, you'll start to see color in the interior again, beautiful colored leather with stitching.
Yeah.
I would like to see that come back. I would like to lead that charge back into the inside so that things are not boring.
I completely agree with
beautiful.
you. I think, you know, I've seen there are times where just the grays and blacks, if they're done appropriately and right, can be very, very cool. But I don't know that I've ever used the word beautiful when I've seen just grays and blacks. But when you see a lot of colors and they're done right, like you said, I think it can make the entire space feel more welcoming. And, you know, especially in the van world, I think personally, that's one of the things I do like about the Stow is that there is so much. There's real wood, there's fabric, there's lots of, it's not just gray, black, or just white. There's lots of different stuff going on in it. And yeah, it's something that we've talked about on a few of the things that we have done in ours, of just how do we bring a little bit more lightness into it. A lot of people I've seen will use it with, you know, blankets or floor covering or pillows, but yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So yeah, definitely excited to see where that goes. We still have some time. So you've done some pretty interesting adventures, whether it's Transpac or Rebelle Rally or whatever else. Tell us about, you know, one or two of those that you thought were just kind of really cool, that were some of your best memories.
Good question. So here's some of my top 10 lists of my best memories. Okay. So number 10, summiting the Grand with my son under moonlight, in 2015. Number 9, sailing from Oahu back to San Francisco and walking to the foredeck with my coffee and looking down and seeing ink stains and thinking other people spilled coffee, and coming back and being slightly grouchy to the crew because I thought they were walking forward and spilling coffee, and only realizing later that day that squid were jumping out of the water and landing on our deck and then bouncing off. And so that was squid ink. Number 8, scuba diving in phosphorescent water in Puerto Rico. Number 7, surfing in Costa Rica next to iguanas. Number 6, petting gray whales out of a panga in Bahia Magdalena. Number 5, the drive from, in 2021 Rebelle Rally, the drive from Dumont Dunes into Dumont Dunes over this railroad, like down this canyon up to this sort of, we were driving on this deserted railroad tracks and ultimately pulling into sand to get to Dumont Dunes. It was just super cool. The course in the Rebelle Rally is super cool.
I think you were at 5.
5 or 4? 5. All right. 5, I'd say, was my, I mean, this is sort of no particular order, but I'll just keep going with it. 5 was leading the charge of a couple other Rebelles into the big dunes in 2021 at Glamis. And that's really challenging. Super cool. let's see, number 4, number 4 was riding camels across the Gobi Desert. Number 3, doing a farm stay overnight off of an old section of the Great Wall of China with my son. Number 2, making landfall in Hawaii for the first time after crossing the ocean. And number 1, what would number 1 be?
Got a lot of number ones for a lot of people already in your first 9.
Yeah. I feel like, what's just going to come up? Let's just see what comes up first. It really would be something on the Rebelle. It's just, what came to my mind first was, I'll never forget, and this isn't like the highest point or the coolest thing I've ever done, but it was one of the funniest things I've ever done. In 2018, the first day of competition, they counted us down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And so then you accelerate off the line. And we went about 100 feet and there was a fork in the road. And I looked at my partner and I said, which way do we go? She looked at me and we go, oh shit, this is the competition. And then at that moment I was like, oh.
Oh,
and
wow.
then we had 8 more days of that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. It's been one heck of a ride.
Well, I've got one more. I've got a couple more questions for you, but kind of staying in that vein, little different. But you mentioned before all the kind of cool things that you know of, at least that your products have been featured in or used for. What's probably kind of the coolest that most of us would have no idea that your product was involved in, that you've heard?
Okay. Thank you. That's a great question. Okay. So I think it's super cool that, we in Winter Olympics, if you look at people who are on the podium, like 1, 2, and 3 for the disciplines in particular of border cross, Dmos is used by like all 3 for 3 of their coaches. I think that's cool. Another thing is, Dmos has been it's in every Humvee up in the Arctic National Refuge with at Fort Greely, Alaska, up at sort of a military base. I think that's kind of cool because, again, it's the best recovery shovel for snow. We are used in like Bald-Faced Lodge still for building kickers for pro sports like the Natural Selection Tour with Travis Rice. We're in Hall Racing USA. They do the entire Baja series, and this is we're in all of their race trucks, and we've been in Center Hall at the Chevrolet Performance booth in their Chevy Colorado ZR2. So that's super cool. We are in Stowe Nation owners' vans. I mean, let's see. A lot of military and law enforcement, actually. And then ice sculptors,
I can see that.
Sand sculptors, and survivalists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. You kind of expect.
I mean, that's a wide assortment. It kind of goes back to it's not just a shovel, right? It really is. It's a tool. It's and you even expanded on it, right? We kind of talked about it as it's a tool. It's a safety device, but it's even an artist tool for people who are using it for sand sculptures and that type of stuff, which is really cool, right? That's not. I mean, all right, yeah, people use chainsaws for that, but you don't normally think of of one of the oldest tools in human history of a shovel as being used for something like that. That's actually really cool.
Exactly.
That's really cool. Well,
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's been fun.
I'll tell you what, we have one final question. You kind of hit on it already, but I do want to go ahead and ask it of you, that we ask all of our guests. on Stonation, and that is, what does it mean to you to be a part of the Stonation community?
Oh, I love that. Well, first of all, it's an honor. Stowe having made, I think I just heard recently you guys just finished your 1,000th band. That is a huge accomplishment. And for us, it's an honor to be your partner. And we pride ourselves on working with the best. And I believe that the Stowe brand and the Stowe builds are the best. And I just think that it is a tremendous honor. It's great recognition. I feel proud. I feel lucky. I feel proud.
Well,
I feel motivated and honored.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Thank you for making the time. I feel extremely lucky to have been able to have this conversation with you. So I really can't say how much I appreciate you taking the time. I know you just rushed up to Wyoming. So just, thank you so much for making it on. We really appreciate it. I know a lot of people who appreciate the product have used it a fair share of time. So thank you so much for everything that you guys are doing, and thank you for joining us here on Stonation.
Thank you, Graham.
Stonation is a production of Park Media. The executive producer is Younghwa Kim. The audio engineer is
Stephen Grasso.
The marketing director is
Guillaume Golson.
The original music and artist is done by
Jason Walsmith.
The sound designer is
Lorenzo Interiano.
And the webmaster is
Peng Shi.
Without any of these people, this podcast couldn't happen, so a big, huge thank you. And a big, huge thank you to you, the listener. If you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a 5-star review. This is Younghwa with Stonation, and I can't wait to share the road with you.